Boom.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another review here on Pez of the Mind. I am James Phoenix. Joining me, as always, are Chris the Mole
Hello.
and Anastasia Lazerbeam
Hello.
and Rorschach in the background trying to climb on things.
Oh.
Well, he was a minute ago. And we are here today to do an Origins review. Been a while since one of those, hasn't it? I don't think I've done one since Larry the Phoenix was effectively canceled when we switched channels.
No.
Oh, I should be wearing a Marvel shirt. I didn't think about it. Oh, well.
No.
Yes. So today we are here to talk about the new Marvel TV show from Fox airing on the FX network, Legion. Now we're going to talk about the pilot, which was about an hour and a half long, and setting up the first TV show to come out of that side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as it were, or the I should say the coexistent cinematic universe that happens to be Marvel.
Yes. As I mentioned to you, it's interesting looking at this because it's tied to X-Men. The main character in the comics is Xavier's son, not mentioned at all in this, which you think they would shout their biggest connection. The only things that tie this to X-Men is the logo has an X and the O, and they mention mutant once halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did they? I didn't even hear that.
They did.
Yeah, like it, which is good because look at the X-Men films. They've started almost, well, actually, they definitely started ignoring the continuity a bit now and again, just to make the film fit whatever time they want. This has given them complete, like they're not mentioning, oh yeah, I'm the son of Xavier and he's off doing this, so he can fit at any time.
Makes sense.
Now, there is still a time where it can be set because it's very past looking and gives it a unique look. But it's just interesting how little there was actually mentions of the cinematic universe, if you will, of the X-Men universe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I put that in comparison as I mentioned to, I think it might be Pew.
Mm-hmm.
Look at them. Look at the ones made by Marvel.
Yeah.
Most of the first episode of Daredevil was beating us around the head with the fact, look, they're repairing New York from Avengers.
Yeah.
Most of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was going to say the pilot, but most of the series is, look how desperate we are to connect.
Yeah.
The fact this one isn't trying to be connected, it's just its own thing, while still being in the universe, makes it more unique and actually makes it a lot better.
I will say halfway through this, I actually did forget that this was connected to like any comic. I didn't even know who was like, is this Marvel? Is this DC? I wonder who this is. What connection do they have? I honestly don't know anything about this.
Yeah,
So I actually read that.
Yeah, which is wonderful, and it's also good because I put it to you, if you read comic books whenever you go to pick one up, they don't always feel the need to keep telling you they're related to all the other comic books. There's loads of ones out there that don't actually do that, they just happen to be in the universe. It's a lot better way of doing it, and I enjoy it. I enjoyed the show doing that element. I thought Jim would have spoke.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a really good show. Just around, we'll talk about our thoughts a little bit. I said I didn't realize until Mole pointed it out to me that it was the character of Xavier's son, because I knew Xavier had a son named David, but I didn't consciously make that connection in my head until it was pointed out to me. And so I was like, oh, okay, that explains the psychic powers. But it was really interesting the way they approach it, because like the first 15 minutes to this, maybe 20 minutes, I wasn't sure I was going to like this show, because I was watching this and I'm like, this is weird. I don't understand what's going on. They're jumping through time frames. Like, this is confusing. I don't know what's happening. And then when it got to the point where they finally pulled back out to what we find out is the actual present of he's being held at like this abandoned facility by these dudes who think he's dangerous and are trying to find out the extent of his powers and shit. I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand what's going on. Now this is interesting. Now I get it.
Yeah, although there is a load of illusions within the illusions, like Inception stuff going on, which is cool.
He has
Like,
a sister. Does that mean that's Xavier's sister? Or Xavier's the daughter?
Like we said, they haven't mentioned that they're actually related in this. They could be completely unrelated. I pointed out before we just started this Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard to say that anyway, because just looking at when we saw David growing up, it looked like in the flashbacks he was growing up in like the 60s or the 70s, and that being the case, Xavier was, barely old enough to be his dad at that point. So
He
He
was
could have
old
time
enough.
travel fucked.
Xavier was old enough because in the 70s and stuff, he had the Xavier school going on, and he was
Yeah.
still he was a young man, but he was still able to
and in
father
the
someone.
70s, yeah, if it was the 70s, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah,
Yeah, because let's not forget, First Class was set during the Cold War.
that's true. That's true. That would have been the 60s. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Magneto had time to go and Father Quicksilver, so I guess it makes sense.
Yep. Which, like I said, they don't shout their connections, which I like that. And like I said, I liked the illusions within an illusion Inception thing where people would want to mention
Yeah.
Inception for it, but where like when he's in that room and you see the girl that died appearing as a ghost on the bike to him was just a great scene.
That
Yeah,
was
it was
good.
really excellent.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The and not that it's really spoilers to give, but effectively, we see a lot of flashbacks to the past and the development of how this man named David came to where he is in his life now, where he was in a mental institution for a while because they believed that he was insane. It turns out that he has these mutant abilities that are some psychic abilities to some extent or another. We don't really get a lot of details on it.
Yep.
And that there's apparently one group that believes he's incredibly dangerous and that wants to either control him or kill him. And there's another group, one member of which is a blonde girl that he met at the insane asylum who can somehow go into his memory, that group is trying to rescue him.
Cindy or Sydney.
Plus, yeah.
Sydney, yeah.
Plus, I point to you guys and say, how do we know the flashbacks were real?
We don't
That's
know
true.
anything that's real.
That's true.
Because if he's tied to Xavier, and let's say Xavier wanted him not to know him, he could have used mental blocks that make him think he has a different past than he does, and it could be interfering with him now.
Yeah.
Although that does pose on another question. If we're assuming this is within continuity, given the massive feats of psychic energy that are going on from this guy all over the place at the mental facility and at this facility where he's being interrogated, if nothing else, how have Xavier and Cerebro not picked up on this?
How do you know they haven't?
I'm going to say how, like, yeah.
As Xavier's mentioned before now, when he looks at Cerebro, he sees all the mutants, but he doesn't interfere with all the mutants. He only interferes with them if he thinks they desperately need his help, or that they're in trouble. We don't know that he's in trouble at this point. Plus, this could be set during Days of Future Past or anything like that.
That's true.
Xavier could be busy.
True, but I think it's more than that because I guess it depends. Because given given David's age, I'd be about right. If he was like born in the mid to late '60s, then he'd be about that 30 years old that we see him or so in the '90s when Future Past happened. So that does work.
I wouldn't
That wasn't
put
the
it past,
90s.
No, you're right. That was Apocalypse was the '90s. Future Past would have been the '80s.
That wasn't the Apocalypse. Wasn't the 90s. Apocalypse
Yeah.
is literally 83. I think they showed at the beginning of the film.
Oh, okay.
The next film is the 90s.
Ah,
Days
And
of
also, I
Future
wouldn't
Past
put-
was 70s. The one before that was 60s.
First
They
Class
went
was
up-
'60s. Yeah.
Yeah, they went up a decade each time. So Days of
Right,
Future
okay.
Past would have been 70s and future.
Gotcha.
I also
Fair
wouldn't put
enough.
it past the company that the government people or whoever kidnapped him. They wouldn't have some kind of mental blockage like equipment to like at least prevent people from detecting him from a certain amount of space away.
Yeah.
Maybe, but really, they didn't seem to have all that much advanced equipment because their go-to solution was if shit gets crazy, we're gonna gas the fuck out of him.
I know. I just wouldn't put it past them that they possibly could have something that could prevent outside sources from reaching him.
Yeah, and
Or at least mentally.
as I mentioned, as they keep introducing new mutants each film, Xavier doesn't interfere with all the mutants. He only does it if he has to. He wants them to find their own way. And
Yeah.
especially as they mentioned with Jean Grey and stuff, it's extra tricky with people who are obviously psychic.
Mhm.
So woo. But yeah, like I said, the look of the show is really unique.
Yeah, and it really the cinematography is amazing.
Yeah, and I loved all the characters in this. I thought it was acted brilliantly, and like I said, it doesn't feel like you're watching. Oh, this is X-Men watered down for TV. It does feel like its own thing, and that's really good for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, it's a great pilot. It clocks in at about 75 minutes.
Yeah.
I also like
Thereabout.
that it didn't sugarcoat or it addressed mental illness without either making it look like it's worse than it is or better than it is, or like this is how it is, like like proper, like a proper representation of like a mental facility, and like treating mental illness with respect.
Yep.
Yep. And I like how they went through and they established his relationship with Sydney in the hospital, so that when she came and saved him later, he had that connection and knew that she was like the one person that he could trust. Out of all the crazy multiple timeline shit that's going on in his head that he couldn't decipher reality, she was the one tethered to what he perceived to be reality.
Yep. And when we see all those people at the end, so now you're curious more about them
Yeah.
because we don't know if all of them are good guys.
Yeah, I'm curious who that older blonde woman is that seems to be leading the group that Sydney's a part of.
Yeah, they could be bad guys trying to use him,
That's possible.
which is a twist a show like this would definitely use.
It is, but at the same time, I would still probably go to them right now, if only because they're not trying to shoot me.
Yeah, but if they're trying to turn, yeah, but I mean, not him going. I mean, the show would probably do that because they're probably going to try and use him as a weapon.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Which
like
means they're probably not trying to kill him because they want to use him as a weapon.
Maybe. But it was
everyone's
interesting
got
because
an
you saw
agenda.
as they were running through that all the members of that group had different abilities. Like one dude was like telekinesis, like throwing dudes out of the way, and Sydney had her ability. So it seems like it's a group of people with varying mental powers, and I like that idea.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead, Stacey.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's each group, you don't know what all their agendas are because we don't know. It literally ended like bump bump, psh, like as it, like what? What? I don't even understand. What's like? I want more.
And as they did mention, they have another show coming out soon of X-Men eventually. I wonder if if this group has any ties to the Hell Club because that seems to be their MO. Let's
What's
not
the
forget that
Hell
was the
Club?
club that gave us like Emma Frost and stuff.
What's
Right.
the Hell Club? I never even heard of it.
It doesn't matter. You'll see it when the show comes out.
Okay.
Yep. Not to be confused with the Hellfire Club of DC. Also, I can't remember if it was the Fox side or the Marvel side. Weren't they making a Cloak and Dagger show?
That's the
Oh,
Marvel
that'd
side.
be cool.
That's the Marvel side. Okay.
Yeah, they'll probably be their next, like Daredevil and stuff. Which, like I said, Daredevil was a cool show, but I felt with all the other ones like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, they just bled together to the point that
Iron Fist looks pretty good from the trailer.
everything looks good from the trailer. That's the point of a trailer. Well, most things look good from the trailer.
That didn't stop the first couple of Batman vs Superman trailers before they finally made a good one.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop the fact that Power Rangers movie looks like shit.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that they don't have any good footage to show for that.
Yeah.
Well, the trailers have steadily at least been getting better. The last one was pretty
Have
cool. They're
they?
flying around the Zords and shit and stuff like that. So
See,
it
when I
has
looked at
gotten
that, I
better.
was like, oh my god, this reeks of Transformers.
Yeah.
It's still weeks of Chronicle has had sex with Transformers, and this is the result. And I'm like, no.
Fair enough. Maybe that's a tone they're going for. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, Legion was really good. It's a very cerebral show and one that you were constantly being kept off balance. And that sense of unease really lent itself toward having the audience feel the way David felt throughout the course of the show, from, what time frame are we into? Oh my God, suddenly all the doors on the rooms are gone, to there's guys with guns trying to shoot me. What's really going on? And they did a really good job of pulling you in and making you intrigued while at the same time having that feeling of unease so you really know what was going on. And they did a great job with that.
I do like how sometimes he'd have reinterpretations of the same events where he realized that guy wasn't the guy at the hospital.
Wait, that wasn't you. That was the blonde chick.
Yeah.
I'm also going to make a prediction.
Okay.
If we get any X-Men characters appear in this, which they have said they're open for, I'm going to make the case. I think we might see Mystique before we see anyone else.
Okay.
Just because she's the easiest one to do, because you can get any actor, and as long as their eyes go yellow and then you see part of their body turning into a blue chick, you can fade out and we all know it was Mystique.
Yep.
You don't need like, oh look, it's Hugh Jackman again.
Yeah.
Or oh look, it's Hugh Jackman in a VR helmet, like a Days of like Apocalypse did.
Yeah. Or, oh, look, it's Hugh Jackman 30 years in the future, like in Logan.
That one actually makes sense, though. That wasn't a bad one.
True.
But it's like I said, it looks good. This show was good.
Or in the bylaws, where it's like, oh, look, it's Hugh Jackman with his backstory conveniently retconned.
Yep.
I really like this, and I also like it didn't do a lot of explaining.
Yeah, it just got out there. The purpose of this pilot was to pull you in and make you interested. It wasn't to lay groundwork, that much groundwork. It wasn't to explain the world or anything like that. This is to pull you in and make you interested so you come find out the rest that we're going to explain in the coming episodes.
Yeah, I think the reason they didn't explain the world is we've seen the world.
That's true.
But yeah, the idea with this type of show isn't the explain stuff straight away and then see where the story goes. It's a show about the journey and the exploration and the exploring of all the stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And based on this episode alone, there's a multiple different paths it can take. So it's cool. It's going to keep everyone guessing for a little bit.
It is. Yeah, I'm very interested. I don't know the dude's name, but the actor who's playing David did a great job. Props to him.
He did.
As well as the actors playing Sydney. And all the acting was generally pretty good. I am curious. One thing I'm curious to know is when they were tearing David in that room, who is the dude with the one milky eye and the Dr. Stephen Brule haircut?
Yep. It's like, I'll admit, when I watched this at first, when he was in, the mental institution, when he sits down, he's in that waiting room looking at everyone.
Yeah.
Was I the only person who got a House vibe from the episode of House when he was in a mental institution? It was very similar, and the guy seemed to be very House-like in that moment. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of House-like. I like that.
I don't recall seeing that episode of House, but I could see.
I did, and it was very similar. It made me feel like it gave me chills.
Yeah, House was awesome. Everyone needs to watch that. But yeah.
All right. So I guess final thoughts. Anybody have anything else I want to say?
Actually, I enjoyed this. I'm waiting to see how they tie it to the films properly. Like they said, they're not against it, but they're not just going to rush out and do it now. It needs to make sense. So when it happens, it'll be something cool. And with them doing the other spin-offs that they've got planned, like I think they had 2 X-Men TV shows. I'm curious because that leads to crossovers and big stories on 2, and I want to see where this goes.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how they play this all out, and I'm definitely interested in seeing some more episodes to see where this goes, who the groups are, and how this all fits together, if it ties into the greater Fox Marvel universe or not.
Yep. So I'd give this a firm watch.
Yeah, I definitely rate this pilot definitely about a 9. It was really good. A little confusing in the first 15 minutes, but then it gets good. So definitely give it a watch, and I think you'll enjoy it. If you wait through that first 15 minutes, you'll definitely really enjoy the rest. What do you think, Stacey?
I think this was awesome, and I advise anyone who's interested in Marvel, possibly, or even not necessarily a fan of Marvel, but to watch it. Although I would warn people, because I know some people, and this might not apply to you, who have like a slight aversion to like seeing mental illness things. I know that can make a lot of people really uncomfortable. So they don't shy away from it. So if that makes you uncomfortable, obviously, don't watch it. But yeah, this could appeal to a large amount of people.
Yeah, but they did do a good job of showing, this is how the institutions work. They're treating people, their brain medicine, making sure that they're, getting what they need to be able to get better. So that was a good thing.
I just know some people who can have like a serious like aversion to it, and for a lot of people,
yeah, that can be kind of skeevy.
Because they're used to seeing how like the more bright and kind of sugar coated, like friendlier hospitals, I guess you could say.
I guess.
And yeah.
Yeah, but that's how hospitals are on TV.
That's how they are.
Yeah. I guess basically the assessment here is if you're going to be watching this show, you're going to be seeing some scenes in a mental institution, be prepared to be seeing Arkham Asylum if it was actually run properly like an institution.
Yeah. But I would make the case if you're watching this and you would be weirded out by that. You
Why would
shouldn't
you
be,
turn on this
because
show in the first
you
place?
shouldn't be, because there's also violence, which is much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is cool to see a realistic mental institution like this. So we find out the only people who can get mental health issues are people who are attractive.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the only people who can do anything are people who are attractive.
You know, ugly people are not allowed to have mental illnesses.
No.
Fact.
Well, it's the same in anything. Even in shows where they need ugly people, they get a beautiful person and then make them ugly. They won't hire an ugly person.
There's some that did it. Like we mentioned House. A lot of the people on that were what I would call TV pretty.
Mm.
I really enjoyed it. It seems to have a lot of mystery and intrigue and excellent acting.
It does.
Indeed. So definitely check out Legion. It's on the FX network. Give it a shot. And maybe we'll come back and do a review at the end of the season and let you know what we thought of the whole season. We'll see. Till then, thank you two for joining me.
Woo!
Hey!
Marvel!
Marvel. Woo!
Yay!
And we'll see you next time. Peace.